Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Holmes. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we are housekeepers, so we have some housekeeping for you. But this housekeeping it's a good house. We're keeping up a home. So that means we got to take care of it. And what that means is everything that we use to take care of our home is genuinely what we love and value and appreciate. And so to keep up our spiritual home, our body home, and our mind home, we're going to start with our first sponsor, which is Cabin on the Coulee Farm. This is where we go when we want time to read our books, to go on our hikes, and to chop our wood, or just have our conversations amongst ourselves about the end of the world, but at least we're doing it with a really nice view. So you guys can go onto cotc.ca to check out Cabin on the Coulee Farm.
Yes, and they are rated #1 farm stay in Canada, according to trip101.com. And you can book from May to November. It is open season, everybody.
Yeah, and so you can scroll down, and then on the website, you will see that there are 3 options for you, glam sites. The cabin, which holds 6 guests, 3 bedrooms, and 4 beds. It's their largest glam site.
Yeah.
And then you have the Coulee Yurt, which is 5 guests, 3 bedrooms, and 3 beds. Very, very nice interior. It's so nice. And then the Grouse House, which is 4 guests, 1 bedroom, and 2 beds for the smaller experiences.
Yeah.
But you guys will be glad to know that all of these sites now are pet friendly. And that was not always the case when we were doing our previous videos, but now it is. And the reason we know that, and the reason you would know that, is if you checked out Cabin on the Coulee Farm Substack to get all the updates on what's going on with the latest and greatest with this business. And so you guys can get whatever future projects are going forward, and also, funny enough, an interview by the owner of this business with Maddie and I. And you will see that Maddie, we're wearing a particular garment that is...
If you want to get this Alberta jersey, and you guys can find the Alberta jersey on our Buy Me a Coffee, but instead of buying us a coffee, you guys are going to buy us some matcha. And you will see a shop tab on the right. That is where you can get these jerseys to match me and Macy. And if you do, send us a photo. And originally we did these jerseys just for the Alberta patriotism of it.
To infiltrate hockey games.
Yeah. And we were surprised that people from BC wanted to buy these jerseys, and have been, because it turns out it's not about making the money.
It's about sending a message.
And this message is nationwide. And on nationwide, it dawned on me that our mother is actually a real estate agent. So if people want to capitalize on this Alberta patriotism and the investment that is coming here because of the Alberta movement, my mom can help you out with that transition into our province. If you guys are on the other side and you're not really sure, a bit more uncertain, want more ground somewhere in the US, our mom can also help you with the sale out of Alberta. So I will put her email in the description box for people to capitalize on.
Yeah, you guys know that we are hugely family centric. So when you support our mama homes, you support us as well. And we really, really thank you guys for that. So
yes, and on the last product that we wanted to share with you guys is something that we use on a quotidian basis. This is actually our hair care
and our skincare.
We use South Korean product. It's called Reman. And the reason we use this stuff is because South Korea, they regulate their products heavily, contrary to here in the West, where they allow thousands of products because it's proven efficacious, according to people like the FDA. They have thousands of product that you're not allowed to put in because they know it's not efficacious. So they have much higher standards. And in this particular stuff, the 2 main ingredients are byungpool, which is tiger grass, and they use lava water, which is mineral filled water. It is not dead distilled water.
So healthy products, which we love. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us in our preamble and this housekeeping to keep all our houses well kept. And without further ado, we can get on with the episode.
Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Holmes. And today we have Alberta's very own John Bolton. So we are very honored. I just want to say the first question I have before any context comes in, why the blue mug?
That's a good question.
You know, it's funny. These mugs are just happen to be the mugs that we have. All of our everything, all our plates and everything are this color.
Oh wow!
And it just happened to be something in my pocket. I had in the cupboard. And the strange thing is, I was interviewing Unacceptable Fringe probably a year ago, and I said to him, I'm wondering if is this a little bit too much, too shtick or something? What do you think? Should I get rid of the mug? No, keep the mug.
Get rid of the mug.
Well, I wish I had a mug.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the fringe. He's got all this stuff behind him. But he said keep the mug, and that's what people say. Do you have your blue mug? At times, my cat is putting his paw in my mug, so I can't drink out of it now. He's sitting right here. Let me show you Blue. Everybody likes Blue. He's become a bit of a celebrity. Here he is right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
here he is
cool.
right
Oh,
here.
look at the way he's holding you.
He's very affectionate.
That's
He's
so
very
cute.
affectionate. You up down, buddy. There you go. So I've got the blue mug, and it's just kind of my thing. I have the mug, and people give me mugs. I've got a whole bunch of blue mugs. I showed you one of them a little while ago. They created a little me out of some type of plastic and stuff and stuck me to the mug, which is really nice.
That's cute.
Yes, that's very creative. Now, today we want to have you on because you had made an announcement. So for people that don't already know you, which, would be kind of hard to believe, you have a very large Alberta podcast that is on YouTube, and you had made an announcement just a couple days ago that there's this big telethon
Yeah.
that you are putting together to help raise money for all of the third-party advertisers that are here in Alberta to help them campaign for the referendum, because for people that don't already know, like, why are all these third-party advertisers coming out? Well, you can't actually educate people or advocate for voting a specific vote on the referendum without signing up as a third-party advertiser.
Right.
And so there's a lot of loopholes that everybody on the grassroots has been figuring out so they can support Alberta's future, and this is one way that you want to do it. We want to know what the heck is all that about.
The telethon. Well, I was out at a meeting. This goes back a couple of months. And I had an idea that we're going to need to raise some money as we move forward with this. The other side is going to have a lot of money. In fact, we're going to have political parties coming in here who have an unbelievable amount of money. Conservatives are going to come into the province. There's a lot of them here. More than 30 MPs here are going to be campaigning against us. The Liberal Party certainly is going to be coming in here to try to stop us. We've got the CBC against us, $1.4 billion. They're not going to give us a fair shake. And so I had an idea of how can we raise a lot of money. I thought, why don't we do an old-fashioned type telethon? I don't know whether you guys ever saw it, but certainly in my day, it was the Jerry Lewis telethon. It was Labor Day, and he raised millions upon millions of dollars for muscular dystrophy. And I thought in that way we could do something, but why not do this online? And we can do this with the different channels. I have actually a request for you guys in just a moment, but I'm going to hopefully we can stream this on 10 different YouTube channels across the province at the same time, which we can do, hundreds of thousands of subscribers here, and then ask people to donate and really bring forward the fact that we're going to probably need millions of dollars if we want to win this thing. So I presented this to Mitch Sylvester probably 2 months ago or more. I gave it to him. He was really excited about this. And then I called up Mitch. I said, I want to grab a hold of this and take it, by the neck and really work on it. And then I talked to some people at a meeting a few weeks ago. They said, what do you want to do, John? I said, I want to help raise some money. I've reached out to a lot of YouTubers. I actually have a Zoom call with a number of them tomorrow night. I want them to be hosts of this event, 11 to 11 on July the 18th. I'm hoping to bring in other places, but I've got a studio already in Calgary, working on one up in Edmonton. At least 2 bases, maybe more for this. I'm hoping to bring in people from Mexico. I don't know whether you know Nat and the guy. I'm hoping we can get them on. I'm hoping maybe you guys can be part of this. I haven't asked and reached out to you, but maybe you can somehow be a host or one of the MCs for this event as well. So maybe you can be part of a Zoom call tomorrow night as well. So I'm asking you to do that. So hopefully we can raise, I'm not going to put a number on it, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't want to do that. I remember when the signature campaign came up, we're going to get 1 million signatures. And I always say it's not a good idea to make predictions like that, but hopefully we can put the money in the bank accounts of a lot of the third-party advertisers who are doing great stuff right now and help them out, because money is going to be very important moving forward. And that's what this is about.
It seems many of the YouTubers that are out there, because it's more like a YouTube-athon versus a telethon. You're definitely dating yourself by saying telethon, and I get it because I can also be dated into that same realm. But
never thought of that. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's a YouTube-athon. All that to say, though, it really does seem like we're getting lots of Albertans are already voting with their wallets. These third-party advertisers seem to be doing well. I know Jason Levine had put out an X sort of graphic just showing, and that was one of the things that got Ottawa very nervous, even when the truckers convoy started to raise money, for the event and what have you, and then the quantity of grassroots outpouring that had just showed up for that particular event. So, although I do agree with you, don't try to like slap a number of like, oh, Target, this is where we got to go, because we're an incremental progress type family. We just believe that set your conviction in motion, and then come what may after that. So we're definitely on board for wanting to participate in this.
No, yeah. And there will be third-party advertisers as well that will need money to maybe hire someone to do their social media, right? And that's also just tiny little contributions that can help, for those that feel like they don't really have all the volunteer time to give to that because they have work full-time. It's like if there's a little bit of incentive, it really does help and go a long way. And that's kind of also something that I think is a good idea to help these third-party advertisers.
I mean, it's tough to get around the rules. I mean, you have to have sort of a chief financial officer. If you listen to Corey Morgan, who's done very well, he's been putting signs out. I was down in Tabor with Corey yesterday. We went down there to see his offensive billboard, the way everybody's upset about. So we went down there yesterday, and he's done very well. But he talks about how almost tiresome it can be for him and his wife to have to input everybody's name onto a website so they can be following along with the rules with Elections Alberta. So, maybe somebody wants to be a third-party advertiser. They might have to hire somebody. I guess you can do that to actually put that information into Elections Alberta, so you're not going to get fined because they want to stay within the rules. I mean, Keith Wilson and Tanya Clemens, they launched Let Alberta Decide. They've raised over $110,000 in a week. I was talking with Angela Tabak this morning, along with Kathy Flett, the Alberta Women for Independence, I think is the name of their group. They're putting out signs. So these groups are doing great, and we're doing fantastic. They can raise up to $607,000, and hopefully we can fill up a lot of their bank accounts so that they can go out and do the things we need to do up to October 19th. I think really when it comes to this campaign, and I've said it before to many people, from Labor Day on, that's going to be the most important part, because people right now, I don't know about you, when you've got 7 in your family, are you worried about barbecues and soccer matches and things like that through the summertime? Summer's going to be over quick. I think Labor Day, look at that to date, and the last 5 to 6 weeks of this are going to be very important to get the message out. And a lot of these groups are going to need money at that time so we can get a positive message out there.
Have you reached out to Sean Newman at all?
Not yet. I'm working.
That's all right. We'll ping him.
Yeah, I'm talking to everybody tomorrow night, and I'm going to say, do you have any other suggestions? People we can get aboard, host the event, or co-hosts we can have come in. I would love to see that. You'd have to fill some time up. Obviously, we've got 12 hours here. I'm working on some features. I put one together the other day that I'm very proud of, that I'm going to have on in the first hour, because I'm going to have Mitch Sylvester be the co-host with me the very first hour, which I think is appropriate. Without Mitch and the Stay Free Alberta and all of the volunteers we had out there through 4 months starting on January 2nd, God love them for being out there, and it's kind of a tribute to Mitch and the volunteers. But I've got lots of things that are going to happen in the next 3 weeks, and it's going to be kind of a plan in motion, and working on a party at a bar with some other hosts. Well, this is a very important one. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't think they've been asked about this yet, but I want to have an independence party and host it from that place for an hour the evening of this event. So a lot of things happening right now. It'll change a lot over the next 3 weeks, but a lot of work has already happened, and a lot of work is still to come. But with everybody helping out, we can't fail. We really can't.
Yeah, I listened to your interview on the Levine Show podcast, and you were giving your sentiments and how even your journey, you were like, just a couple days ago, Jason, I was feeling a little bit demoralized. And I mean, fair enough, because with everybody thinks there's a clear mission, and then as we know through all of our research, the people that are in places of power with the money, they know how to get in the way and put bottlenecks. That's their job. They've been doing it for centuries. And so they just do what they always done. And then we, the plebs, said, this is new for us. This is our new game. They've played it 1,000 times. And so trying to learn, okay, how do we keep going and keep banding together? And the thing is, some people were upset with all the different groups that are emerging, and they're thinking, we should get together. But the thing is, with all these third-party advertisers, and because of the rules that we have to follow in Elections Alberta, all I see, as you saying, is people banding together. And then even you with this event, you're taking all of the diverse groups that have come up, Let Alberta Decide, Corey Morgan, the Alberta Women's Independence Group. There's so many, which we will list later on so people can actually see which different and choose which ones they want to invest in or not. You're just bringing them all together, and that's the point, rather than like looking for one centralized thing, when you know that there's everybody with different ideas, and we want everybody to feel that their ideas are plausible. And when you put a gatekeep and one leader right at the very beginning, then they have to approve the ideas. Whereas if somebody like yourself just has a conviction, let's do a YouTube-athon, a telethon, and then you can just go for it. And then everybody has the choice whether or not they want to get involved.
I was on a live stream with a bunch of YouTubers, and Jason Levine was there because Jason was a third-party advertiser through the petition campaign as well. And Corey Morgan got inspired by Jason. That's why he got in on this. And we've seen a number of others come in. I met a few of them when I was in Sundre for that amazing parade a couple of weeks back, who got in Alberta Flags, and another gentleman, I can't remember right now, and I apologize because I meet so many people, it's hard to remember all the names, but more are getting in right now. And I think that's good. It's important to have a cohesive message, but these different groups are doing different things. A lot of signs going up. We've got billboards. We've got what Keith and Tanya are doing, which is high level stuff, which is really cool. We need that as well. And the thing is about these different groups, they can't really work together with the rules that we've got through Elections Alberta. It's called collusion. You can't work together, things like this. So I like what they're doing out there. I'm really pleased. When I was in Tabor yesterday, I managed to pick up Angela and Kathy's sign. So I got 3 of them in front of the house now. I'm looking to have more of them as I go along. I'm looking for Let Alberta Decide from Chris Scott. They've got signs too. So I'm hoping, there you go. The Alberta Women for Independence, great people. And I just love I love them to death. They're awesome and doing wonderful things, going out and talking to people and trying to convince people to vote on our side. But I'm hoping to get 4 signs probably very soon. If people keep saying put one of Corey's big signs out there, but it would block off the street. So I'm going to stay away from that.
Well, that's why I appreciate people like your channel, because you're trying to figure out who's doing what and where, and then you want to report to that to your large audience, and then that'll keep expanding, because they'll be like, oh, well, I was following this one organization, but I had no idea that there were so many other branches that were coming off. And I think that that's such an important aspect of it, because as Maddie's saying, like, they all have different ideas of what it is that they want to go towards. And then that's one of the things that even was going off with the contention between like Jeff Rath and like Britta Proud Dad and all that. What was happening is that people were trying to figure out, well, where do I stand, right? But at least you had the choice to figure out, well, where do you want to stand? And if you have an entirely different perspective, then you can have a voice, as in like you become the person that you want to, like, if you don't like any of the voices that are around you, then figure out how do you become the one that's educating people then in the way that you would like to, because that's what I think that has been kind of the biggest sort of nice message for my own personal context, is just when we're doing the Alberta independence push, like, there is no guaranteeing that we are going to get what it is that we're looking for, because we're trying. But what I love is the fact that even the referendum on the referendum, like, I didn't like the fact that that was the question at all, but at the very least, the education should never stop even after the referendum's done. Like, you don't stop trying to educate yourself on how to build a better country and a better culture, period, right? And so that's what, like, Chris Scott said. It was like, we're trying to build like a culture, a new culture. So we always have to be doing that, and to add continuum, like
inspire, be the change that you want to see, because the only thing that you can change for sure is yourself. So keep yourself looking. I mean, the one thing that I do kind of find admirable about all the differences that we've seen in the movement is you end up realizing that it's a biblical reference, but it says the eye cannot say to the foot, I need you not, for we're all members of one body.
Right.
And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is that more often than not, we feel too drawn to a particular viewpoint of, say, an individual or a set of individuals, and we think that must be the way. And I mean, I was in the oil field for a long time, and even though bureaucracy always tries to like narrow the JSAs and target zero agendas, and which is all just insurance crap anyway, you'll realize that like guys will go onto a drill floor and there'll be several different techniques to do the same damn job, and we're accomplishing the objectives together as a team. You want everyone to make it through the shift and do well. Well, I look at this in the same thing. It's like no matter where somebody's landing on their particular viewpoints of how things are going to shake out for independence is the only solution. We don't have a federal option. So regardless of how people would like to get there, let's all pull on that rope at different places and give it a yank.
Well, you know what, we've got very strong personalities in this movement.
Right?
Yeah, and some people rub another person a different way than, and some people gravitate towards a specific message or not. I did get a little frustrated a while back with people beating up on each other in the independence movement. Some of those things have been straightened out, which I think is great. And everybody realizes that we have to keep our eyes on the prize. The people on our side are not, I don't like to use the word enemies. They're not the opposition. It's the other guys we've got to concern ourselves about. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of different messages out there, but I think we're focusing in here. I think we're getting more on the message. You know what has really come to the forefront over the last little bit? The word Canada isn't used much anymore in the Alberta independence movement. And what we need to understand is we don't hate Canada. We are upset about Ottawa, and that's what I focus in on. I don't think things will get better because of Ottawa. Canada isn't the problem. Canada's moved away from us, certainly. It's not the Canada I remember, but it's Ottawa that I'm concerned about. I don't see it getting better even if we have a conservative government, because eventually another Liberal Party will come along and have their boot on Alberta's neck again. I mean, we'd have a pipeline right now if the Liberals wanted a pipeline, if that was the plan. We have to jump through all of these hoops. We're going to probably hear, who knows, within the next couple of days, Danielle Smith is going to go to the major projects office with her little pipeline proposal. She's been looking for an investor for months. She hasn't announced that. Will that ever happen? I don't think so. Too many things will get in the way. We've heard Mark Carney talk about the consensus. We must have a consensus. We must have the provinces aboard. Indigenous people have to be aboard. And there will always be somebody standing in front of that pipeline to get to the West Coast. I think we can get it there if we're independent. I do think that's possible, because without Alberta, the rest of the country is going to have some tough times. I honestly think Canada would be worse off than Alberta if we leave. And I'm more positive about the future with an independent Alberta than I am with the current Canada. And that's the way I feel about it. But we're focusing in on what the real topic is here. I call Canada the country of no. Because Canada is the country of no.
I saw that episode. It was a good episode.
Yes. Yeah. And we would like a pipeline. No, says Quebec. No, says British Columbia. We want our prosperity. No, you can't have it unless we say so. I don't like that. And that's what I try to focus in on. People ask me, why do you want Alberta independence? A lot of people say money. Money's a big part of it. But I'm tired of being told no. Albertans don't want that. We want yes. That's what we want.
Yeah, because yes means potential, and no means no potential. And Albertans are a people, and the youth, we've heard all of the same concerns that you were saying. People just generalize it as money. Oh, the youth, can't afford a home, because that's under the label of affordability. But what comes with a home? I mean, and what kind of home? Are they living in the city? Are they living in the country? Do they want a homestead? Are they going to be potential farmers? It's like all of that they can't answer, because the answer's been no. And they just want a couple of yeses so they can figure out at the very least what they want. Because right now, even that, they're like, I just don't have any opportunities to figure out what I want, the potential of what I could be as a young Albertan, let alone Canadian, just a young person. So they echo the same things that you're saying.
Well, the premier said there's trillions of dollars worth of wealth beneath our feet. I don't know where you guys live. Where do you live, by the way? Where are you?
We're in Cowtown like you.
Okay, so right, if we drill down, there's money down there. I wish I could do that. In fact, where I'm from originally is a place called Petrolia, Ontario. And Petrolia is just outside Sarnia, which is interesting because Sarnia is where our oil goes. Okay, it goes along a pipeline to Sarnia, which I consider my hometown. But I was born in a place called Petrolia. Sounds a lot like petroleum, right? Because back in the 1860s, they found oil there, and people to this day own the land beneath their feet. And if you go to Petrolia, people have pumps. And and every day they're taking a couple of barrels of oil still out of the ground there. I wish we could do that here. I'd be drilling right straight down on my little plot of land here in southeast Calgary. It really bothers
Well, and
me.
even then, one thing, because our family, we read the entire APP Value of Freedom document. For people that couldn't take the time to read it, we read it on a podcast so people could go through. And yes, that's the one.
Yeah, we went chapter by chapter.
Yes, and I'll link that in the description for people. But the thing that kind of dawned on us, and that's one of the feedback too with all of the MOUs, and yes, so these pipeline agreements are underway, but the thing is, what's the point of getting this pipeline with all this money that has like a 50% tax on it anyway? And that's the one thing that resonates with our family. It's that, okay, you can continue ways to get money, but still with inflation for all of the reasons that we could list, and then on top of the tax that gets put upon it. So we're still being handicapped. And a lot of us don't really agree with that in the first place. So
yeah, when you take a historical context of human prosperity has a direct correlation, I don't care what scientific tools you would like to use, to the use of dense energy. And the denser the energy that we do use, the more prosperous, on average, societies are. So Alberta is in position to lead, to innovate, to have that potential. And Canada has done nothing but be an impediment to that whole process. It's been a wedge since its creation. So we find ourselves going, okay, well, enough with, we've already got enough historical precedents to know that there is no relationship to build with here. And we need to build.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember reading an article years ago. You can probably still find it online. It was called "Understanding E equals MC squared." Okay, so this was talking about how important nuclear energy is, but it went through all the different types of energy and how important each one is. And it talks about solar and wind, how little energy you actually get from solar and wind, how far a car can go on a single liter of gasoline. It's remarkable how far down the road you can go on a single liter of gasoline. But we seem to want to put up windmills and solar panels. Seems kind of weird. We got rid of windmills years ago as energy, and we're bringing them back. I was just in South Calgary yesterday. I see them all over the place. I think there's a place for that kind of thing. But the oil and gas that we have in the ground is going to be needed for decades, and people need it. Can you imagine if we put those pipelines in 10 years ago? We wouldn't have any issues with high gas prices right now. We'd be sending this stuff all over the world from a responsible province like Alberta. And it really bothers. It's not just about pipelines. It's a lot of other things as well. But it's a huge part of it. Yeah, it's a huge part of it. And this is going to be a real issue leading up to the referendum, because just before the referendum, they're going to announce a pipeline. That's what's going to happen to try to cut us off at the knees. And there won't be any shovels in the ground. As I said the other day, Danielle Smith's going to say, you're not going to be any shovels in the ground, but she'll be shoveling something when she rolls this thing out. That's what I think.
Yeah, the same batch of manure that she sold us when she was trying to tell us how much it was going to take for Alberta independence. When you actually look at this is the thing, right? Enough with the lies. Just like we've been lied to so badly since 2020 and beyond. I'm only saying that just because that's when my family, entered into the arena, if you will, of what's been going on. And that there's another thing is just it's almost like, just stop that. Would you just stop? Because this is the internet. People can actually go and do their own crunching of numbers. I mean, no, I don't trust Grok. I don't trust your AIs. But the thing is that when you use multiple different AIs, you can actually then use them to correlate. You can find the through line of their BS because, they got DEI programs in them and so forth, right? But you can find your way and you can do your research. It takes cognitive hard work, but it can be done. And all of a sudden you could look at what a politician speaks as rhetoric and you're like, that's a line of bullshit. Like, just straight up, you're bloody lying.
Yeah. Well, they have fear and threats. That's what I think. That's their ask somebody, why do you want to remain in Canada? And they really haven't got a good answer for you. They have patriotism. And I've said from the beginning, that's going to be a hard thing to get around. People feel like they've got some allegiance to
Sure.
Canada. They want to wave the flag, and it's where they grew up. And we tell them that's not the Canada that is today. That's what you're remembering from the past.
Yeah.
But they've got fear and threats. And the one that really bugs me, really, really bugs me. From the beginning, we got a lot of questions regarding CPP and OAS. That was one of the big questions. Well, what happens to my CPP and OAS? And here it's still, and I've answered that question 1,000 times, and people are still concerned because we're engaged. We always think everybody else is engaged as we are. I wake up every day thinking about this stuff. You guys are thinking about these things constantly. Other people are getting up in the morning and they're not paying much attention. Well, what happens to my CPP and OAS? I don't know how old you are, Mike. I'm 61. I've looked into CPP. It's not much after 40 years of working.
I won't even get it
all.
anyway. If I relied on the government for my retirement, I'm investing in my family. My retirement is going to be the relationships and love I build with my clan and those that care about my family. Because I know damn well the governments, they've already got it accoladed for the European central banks anyway. Like all of Canada's resources being consolidated. There is no pension for Canadians.
Yeah, well, it's virtually nothing, but there are people out there who are terribly concerned because they haven't planned ahead or they depend on this. And it makes me really sad that this is an issue. We tell people that they're going to be able to keep their Canada pension plan and their old age security. And what does the other side say? The other side said, no, you won't. We're not going to let you keep your CPP and OAS. So you've got the other side threatening senior citizens with the only money they have coming into their house. I think that's just disgraceful. This is the fear and threats, right? My question is actually, and I've thought about this a lot, well, why would you want to keep it? Why wouldn't you want something better? An Alberta pension plan would be much better for you moving forward. It certainly would than what you're getting now. Jagmeet Singh worked for 6 years and got $2.5 million, and you work 40 years of your life and you get $600 a month.
That's where my
There's something wrong
CPP
there.
went. My CPP went to Jagmeet.
Yeah.
Hopefully he enjoys my hard-earned money.
And he had a Rolex date just on his wrist, right? A $25,000 watch. And he got $2.5 million for working 6 years. And to say he was working is probably stretching it a little bit, but that bugs me when they do that, the fear and threats. And that's all they've got. And that's what we're hearing constantly. Everything's going to be bad. We can see what's happening in Canada. I'd rather take a chance on Alberta independence than continue along the road with Canada the way it is right now. I think I can do better off. I really do.
Yeah, another common one that I've heard, and I think even used by our mayor, Jeremy Farkas, was the fact that investment is going to leave. We heard that even at a town hall. That is the big one. Me and Macy attended 2 separate events, town halls, and both the opposers that were there to the whole independence thing, that was their argument, was independence is leaving and certain companies are concerned that investment will leave. Not that it has yet, but they're concerned that it will. And that's so that's another big argument people say.
It's surprising that, even with Canada the way it is right now, Alberta is doing better. I mean, I think of Dow Chemical. They've just invested a lot of money here in Alberta. It's funny, I have my dad's ring on, which has Dow Chemical on it. He worked there for 37 years. I mean, for goodness sakes, the fact that they even roll out investment on this, do we have to say it again? RBC came out with a report a few weeks ago. $1 trillion in lost investment from Justin Trudeau on from 2015. $1 trillion. The premier said $175 billion lost in investment in the oil in oil and the gas in this province over 10 years with the Liberals. How dare they say we're going to lose investment? People will be flocking to come here. They say people will leave. We're going to have people replacing the people that leave because they're going to want to live in a prosperous province. That's what this is going to be. It's not going to be easy. We have to be honest. It's not going to be easy, but people will want to come here. This is going to be one of the richest places on earth. People say Dubai with snow. Is the way they describe us. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. There will be challenges, but again, I'm more willing to take that risk on an independent Alberta. I am. $1 trillion. Think of that. If we had had that money in Canada.
Well, that and also
gone elsewhere.
I was thinking in relation to the CPP thing, I'm like, your money is also literally getting worth less anyway. So it's like what you think you're going to get,
what you could have gotten years prior because you actually had our dollar meaning something, you're not going to get anymore because it means nothing. And then that's something that is also something to contemplate for if we were independent. It's like, well, then we could just scrap that whole method, because even with the Mark Carney that came in, a lot of Canadians aren't even paying attention to the fact that he was selected. Like, a guy like that does not, like, on accident become Prime Minister of Canada. Like, absolutely not. I don't think that was an election at all. I'm like, if he came out of Bilderberg and Chatham House, and these institutions have been like basically a part of, I guess, the sort of elite oligarch class, if you want to call it that, for a long time. And then so when we've been following the work of like Matthew Ehret for a long time, and it's been tracing back to even like Nazism and fascism in the past, it's like we have some weird deep oligarchical structures that are randomly, just not even randomly, designed to be entering Canada, and Canada has been helping with the design of these and the infiltration of our system as a whole. That's why Chris Scott says the system's not broken. It's working exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. No, it was remarkable. I remember it was January 16th, 2025, when he put his name in. That's when he announced his leadership. Within a few months, he was ahead in the polls, and now he's the prime minister. And they've manufactured, I think, the first manufactured majority in the history of Canada. The way they did it, it was 6 people over eventually, a number of conservatives there. And here's a man who was a mess when it came to being the Bank of England, leading the Bank of England. Liz Truss, former prime minister, warned us about Mark Carney, right? That. But yeah, she warned us about it. Don't elect this guy, and we ended up with him. And you know what? I like Pierre Poilievre. You have to understand this. I like Pierre Poilievre. I don't like the fact that he says he's going to come in here and fight the independence movement. I understand it. He's an Albertan and whatnot. But Poilievre's plan was certainly a lot better. What really bugs me is this, and you talk about our money not going as far. Anybody who's watched my channel eventually sees me pull out a liter of cream. Right? So I have coffee in the morning. And I don't know, you've got a family there. You know how expensive it is. Your money not going as far. Back in the day, not too long ago, it was less than $2 for a liter of cream. And now I look for it at $3.50 a liter. I'm lucky to find it at that price. I usually go to Costco because I can save a few cents on it, but it's around $4 a liter. If you were to go to Walmart, occasionally you can get it cheaper. It's so expensive. I don't know whether you guys eat beef. I have hamburgers, but I haven't had a steak in years. And I live in cattle country. And good Alberta beef, I can't afford it. I haven't had a steak. The pig farmers love me because it's a lot cheaper than the beef, but I can't afford that stuff anymore. And, the government, what do? They subsidize poverty now. Unfortunately, that's what we're doing. And this is considered a success, the government having to pay for people's groceries. And, I'm all for helping people. I think that's important. But we have to pay for people to eat now in this country. It's disgraceful. And this is a success, folks. People have to be subsidized with government programs now to afford to eat. When I first started in the radio business back in the mid-'80s, that's how long ago it was, I made $11,000 a year at my first job. That was awful at that point. But I don't remember being worried about eating. I could afford some food. I had a car I could put gas in at that point.
Craft dinner.
But 11... What's that?
Craft dinner, itchy bun.
Well, yeah, but I don't recall. I ate a lot of craft dinner, but I don't recall being worried about paying for food and things like that. But people work, people have a family with 2 people working, and it's becoming harder and harder all the time if they can afford a house at all, right? And 11 grand a year. I moved for $12,000. I moved to another city. People said, "Are you nuts?" I said, it was almost a 10% raise in my wages. So that's why I moved. But that's the situation we're in right now. And that scares me. We are subsidizing school lunch programs. We're paying for people's food now in Canada. This is disgraceful. And this is Liberals. This is the Liberal Party.
Yeah, one thing people don't consider, even regarding the CPP, on the fact of all this inflation, the devaluing of the dollar, even the CPP, it takes about between 2 to 4 people, working employees to finance one retiree's pension. Whereas a couple of years ago, it was like 7 to 9, 7 to 13. And
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and so what the implications of that is that the strain of meeting that same pension is falling on smaller and smaller groups of people. So now it's 3 people trying to sustain one retiree, and that means majority, like a larger portion of their income is going towards that rather than their own needs.
No, that's okay. They can just maid those useless eaters. We'll just maid all those senior citizens, right? Wasn't that one of those plans?
Yeah.
That's deflationary.
Yeah.
Killing people is very deflationary.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of a country. I don't think we're going to go down this route, but unaliving people with mental health issues. In my personal life, I've had people that have dealt with things that have had real troubles in their life, and they wouldn't be around. And a lot of us know people like that. I mean, I think of Andrew Lawton, right? True North, he used to be on True North, and he's an MP down in like London, Middlesex, London, Ontario. And Andrew has been very open about the fact that he tried to kill himself a couple of times. I'm not saying anything, and he's spoken out about this. What kind of country does that? More and more people all the time. I think we're up to more than 100,000 people have done that. And I don't want to get this wrong. I believe in compassionate, to be compassionate. I have a personal family member that did that, and I understand they were completely at peace and made that decision about their life, and they were in their 90s. A personal family member. It was hard. One of the hardest things in my life, and they made that decision on their own. But very sick. 93 years of age. I don't know what kind of country is suggesting this to people who might have a future, and mentally ill people. That it's sick. It's really sick.
Yeah, especially since even the idea of mentally ill has been completely misconstrued. It has been labeled in places where it doesn't belong, or even because young people, I jokingly say, like, I've been mentally ill since the time I hit puberty. And right, but I mean, it's because our brains are literally not developed, our frontal lobe. So, and our frontal lobe in charge of decision making. I'm like, okay, so I am for the next 8 years mentally deficient because my brain is developing. And
till you're about 25, I guess, is the age out
right?
here.
Yeah,
Precisely.
26, 27 for men, and a little earlier for
Is that
women.
right? Yeah. Well, men are far more mentally ill than women.
I concur with this statement. I concur, good doctor. I concur.
Right. I mean, but all of that aside, this is actually why we wanted to have you on in the first place. Dad's been saying we've been meeting a lot more podcasters here in Alberta. We've been on Nat and the Guy. We've been with Sean Newman, and then the Levine show, and we hadn't connected with you yet. And the thing is, podcasters do need to unite. That's the point of your telethon. But it's not just podcasters, it's all of Albertans. That's why we're saying in the beginning, all of these third-party advertisers, yes, they can't officially collude because of Elections Alberta, but the people and the communities, they are connected regardless of whatever the bureaucracy is saying. These are people that have been working alongside one another. Even just look at all of the canvassers. It's like very big kudos that you have been giving to the volunteers. And so we wanted to have you on precisely to further this mission. We are just demonstrating the fact that we are all in this together. So yes, John Bolton has his podcast over here. He's got his own reach. There are people that we have that maybe he doesn't, because we've all got different missions, but we're all going towards the same aim, as you said.
Yeah, just like I believe it was one of the founding fathers said, like, we either hang together or we hang separately, because either way they're coming to hang us.
Right.
So
Yeah.
might as well hang together.
Those founding fathers are pretty smart. I use a lot of quotes from those guys.
I've read a lot of their works. You bet.
Yeah,
you bet.
I love it.
I think it should be mandatory reading for anybody that's in the Alberta independence movement to take in the 1775 speech of Patrick Henry for his address to the Virginia Congress. Because the "Give me liberty or give me death," when you realize when he addresses all the grievances, we're in the same situation all these years later, dealing with the same enemy.
Yeah. I talk about George Washington. What he say? When freedom of speech is taken away, deaf and dumb, we shall be led like sheep to the slaughter. And I read a lot of these guys. Benjamin Franklin has some fantastic quotes you can learn from. And these guys were pretty smart, and they go back hundreds of years. Well, they're celebrating 250 years this year, right now, actually, aren't they? The United States, but a lot of smart people down there. You talk about we're all in this together, and the different groups we've got here. when I went out to Tabor yesterday, and I discussed this on the video I did this morning. I was really concerned about what happened in Edmonton yesterday. A guy was basically thrown under a car.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that video.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really concerned about this. I'd spoken to some of the leaders in the independence movement saying, you guys got security? I'm just wondering this. And this was back last year. And as we get farther along, we're going to see more of these nuts coming out. I mean, the people I meet in the Alberta independence movement, we might have different ideas, but every time I shake their hands, they're like brothers and sisters to me. They're my friends. That's who these people are. I mean, and I got tearful this morning on my video talking about that. I meet these people. I went out yesterday and John, and I meet them. I hug them, and I've never met these people. These are friends I've never met before. And that guy standing on the street in Edmonton yesterday with his blue flag right there, waving his flag, gets thrown into the street and almost gets run over by a car. Don't know who that was, but as far as I'm concerned, if I'd have met him, he's my friend. We're all together in this. This is amazing what's going on here. I've never felt part of something like this in my life, the way I've been able to meet people in the independence movement, and we've all got a common goal. And we may go about it a different way, but we all have a common goal.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring. It really is.
I guess on that note, we should let people know, one, where they can find you and tune into this telethon that's happening on July 18th.
YouTube-athon.
YouTube-athon.
Changing the name of it. When I'm talking tomorrow night, maybe I'll say, should we change it to the YouTube-athon? I guess I am old school.
But you use telethon, and like that's vintage. You're talking Gen X and older, man. Of which I am a Gen Xer, so that's why I get it. I remember them. I remember telethons.
I'm gonna have to think about
now,
changing.
I play a little Helldivers on occasion, and they like literally just raised $250,000 for kids charities just doing live stream gaming, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's YouTube-athons now.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've already got a web site set up. I've already reserved it, and it does say telethon in it, so I'm going to have to stick with it.
Yeah, right.
But I think people will understand. I think people, and I'll just say, hey, Mike says YouTube-athon, but I'm old.
For the different TPAs, third-party advertisers, that will be the money is aiming to go towards, we'll just list a couple right here so people can do their own research into who they want, which sign they think is better, unless they want to be like John Bolton here and just get all of them, of which
get them all.
Again, that works too.
Get a collection.
So we have CoreyMorgan.com. That's where you can get his. So that's one TPA. You do have the Levine Show. They have their own. So when you go to the Levine Show, it'll take you to home. TPA. You got to click there, and then you'll get, you can get signs, lawn signs, blah, 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 blah. This is another one that Alberta Nation Events. This is actually from a fella named Richard, who Macy and I have spoken at town halls with, and he had a press conference this morning, so people can probably check that out. This is another one. Then Alberta Women for Independence. This is the Independence Network. So
Angela and Kathy. Yep.
Yes. Initially, I was confused about what we were going to do for option 2 because the question, I didn't see that it was going to be, because I thought it was a yes or no question. But because it's not binding, option 1 and option 2 are how you can go about reading and understanding the question. And it is actually their sign that made me look into it and go, wait, so that's the one to pick. So there's their sign. And then we have Albertans for Freedom. These are another one. There's so many, but
there's lots of them now. You're more getting in all the time. Yeah.
And again, people are just getting more concise about how to understand this. They have right on board in order to understand. They got the links about where to go to. They got different infographics so you can understand some main talking points, understanding the CPP, all of those things. And then there's the Tanya Clemens, Keith Wilson, Let Alberta Decide. I'm probably missing a couple because I know there's more.
Sure.
Well, there's, Sheila Gunn Reed's in on it as well. She's involved, so she's got a TPA. And then there's Mitch Sylvester's wife, Leanne, has got one. Stay Free Alberta. They're in it as well, so they're involved. I'm going to be focusing on a number of them here. There could be 17 or 20 by the time we get to the 18th of July. So I'm going to try to focus in. I'd love to focus on all of them, but I want to make sure that I focus in on specific ones. I'll be announcing that later, but they're all worthwhile. And if there's something that you really believe in, then, you can make a donation to that one. That's the beauty of this. So you can say, well, I'd like to put up one of Corey's signs or Angela's signs or one of Let's Talk Alberta sign. Well, Let's Talk Alberta is not a TPA,
No.
but you can put up any number of these different signs, or you can support Keith and Tanya, or any number of them, or all of them if you can, up to $5,000. So if you've got deep pockets, you can help them all out, because they're all going to need money.
And I already alluded to your YouTube, which is where people can get your daily updates. And for those who like shorter updates, he does do those as well. He's much more forgiving than our timelines. And then
I try to keep it short. I'm not long on. I don't like to be long on words. I guess that's my radio training over the years. I used to have to talk at the beginning up until the person started singing, and it would say on the record talking old school. I put the record on the turntable and cue it up. It would say 18 seconds. So I had to be very short and concise about what I was saying, so I could say on great radio, 1110 CKJD, and then Whitney Houston would start singing. That's the way it used to be, right?
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. So I've got to be tight,
Well, unless there's anything else, you guys want to add anything? Last questions for John. John, do you have final remarks before I wrap up this beautiful episode?
Well, thank you for asking me. It was nice meeting you. I met you at Jason Levine's event. We got to see The Shot, which was terrific. It was something that was discussed yesterday when I went out to Tabor. Of course, I was there because Corey's billboard was offending people or something. They couldn't take it down. That's why we ended up there. And then they ended up with 3 more billboards in the Tabor area because people donated to Corey. And we saw this happen at a recent event. What was it, just the other night? Well, Mitch Sylvester got basically canceled in one of his meetings the other night.
Yeah.
I know that there was a Stampede breakfast that was being scheduled. I was talking to somebody. It was scheduled and they canceled that one. So this kind of stuff is going to be happening a lot more as we move forward. But don't despair. Everything's going to be fine. And I just keep at it. Keep working hard. And I appreciate you helping out and being part of this. And you guys need more subscribers. I would suggest everybody go over to this channel right now. If you're here and you're watching this, click on subscribe. Clicking, like I say every day, clicking on the big blue mug does not subscribe you. It's a red button below. Just click on that and subscribe on this channel. You guys, you're smart. You've brought up these young ladies. Well, they're very smart. You read a lot, don't you? I wish I'd read more. When I was younger, I wish I'd read more. I was listening to albums and records. That's what I was doing. I learned a lot about rock and roll, but I could have learned a lot more about politics and philosophy and all these things. You need to read. And if anybody's really successful in life, I'm way past this point. Real successful people read a lot. So, and I know you're smart because you read. You're smart as a whip, you two. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. That's
yeah.
It's Thomas Sowell's work. He does correlate. He had a book called Discrimination and Disparities, and he talked about some of the main top 5 things that contribute to a successful, also just happy family and upbringing, and definitely reading a lot as a family. That is one thing that he said.
Is that what he said?
It's one of the 5.
It's one of the 5.
Also the quality and quantity of words in the dialect within the household.
Yeah, so talking. And
lots of verbal communication also plays a role for success in
so I hope you
structure.
talk a lot to Blue, because that'll increase his intelligence.
Yes. Well, Thomas Sowell, I have a number of quotes that I save quotes. I have a little app on my Mac here, and I save quotes. And I just brought up Thomas Sowell on here while you were talking, and one of my favorites from his: in politics, never assume that because something is insane, it will not be done. Okay, we're talking about politics. That was Thomas Sowell. Brilliant man. There's some great videos online of him from 20-30 years ago you can watch, and he talks about these things. And an incredibly smart man. I think he might be in his late 80s, 90s now. He's still
crushed
around.
a lot of his literature.
Genius, man. An absolute genius. Keep reading him. You're smarter than I am, young ladies. I'm telling you, you're smarter than me.
I don't know what to say that other than thank you.
No, we appreciate everyone that's come in, and we hope to be able to continue our relationship with you, John, as we move forward. And as always, we just want to send that message out to Albertans that we're all going to pull in the just 2 cans in the oil patch. If you can't do it, you can't stay, and we don't have any other option. The boats are burned. We have to make this work.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I was talking with, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but Bruce Party. Jason Levine was sick last week, so he asked me to sit in on his show, and I spoke with Bruce Party, Matthew Rowley, and Dennis Kalma. And Bruce brought up something. I'd been watching one of his videos, and I don't know that it got on the main show. I think it might have been the after show. And Bruce had a really good point. The other guys only have to win once. We have to win twice. Our hands are tied behind our back here. We have to win the first question and win the second. All they have to do is win the first. So we've really got to work hard to win. It's option 2 on question 10. We're going to be saying that a lot once we get to October. A lot. But we've got to win this thing because they've only got to win once. We've got to win twice. So keep that in mind.
Yep, this is a marathon. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for asking me. I hope to talk to you soon. I'm going to be sending you guys an invitation. I'd like you to be in on this thing we're doing on the Telethon. On the 18th of July. Thank you so much.
Well, without further ado, thank you everybody for joining us. Subscribe, I guess, and we will see you next time on At Home with Holmes.